Okay, I'm working professional for the past 7 years in IT. I'm going to pursue executive MBA in 22-24. So looking forward to get more details for this MBA journey. Great. Excellent. Thanks for asking that, Manisha. Just to give a background, we had done one session on careers after MBA last Saturday. You can also get a recording from our YouTube, channel for there. When you're saying you're going to pursue executive MBA, I'm assuming it will be a 1 year program that you're pursuing, or are you pursuing a part-time program?
Hey, hi, Suhruta. So
Hey,
it
hi.
is like 2 years, 2 years executive MBA.
2 years full-time program, is it?
No, I'll be working, but along with that, it's
Gotcha.
more of an online thing.
Okay, okay. Great, great. Awesome. Uh, Resume hygiene. Very good. Thanks for the question, Samita. Ashish from Pune. I'm pursuing BBA IB from Vishwakarma University. I'm looking forward to do HR also about MBA finance. Great. Okay, great. So let me start. Take you through the agenda for today, which we are going to talk about resume preparation. We will discuss some things in that session, and post that, I will come and come back to respond to all these queries as well. In between, also, if you have any queries on anything, be it MBA careers, how to prepare resumes, how to prepare for interviews, how to choose your companies, roles, anything, right? I mean, feel free to put up questions on the chat, and I will respond to all the questions in the chat. The way we will structure this session is that for say next 20 to 25 minutes, I will take you through the presentation, wherein I will take you through what recruiters look at, uh, what how you should communicate what your your experiences are, and then the hygiene factors, right? Best practices on how to prepare the resumes, right? Great. So let's start a little bit about ourselves. So I'm Suhruta and I'm co-founder of GoCrackIt. And we are an career advisory firm. We provide mentoring for students and professionals to help them prepare and succeed for their careers. We also enable learning for careers in a very engaging way through our app, which is Govin by GoCrackIt. It is there on the Play Store, as well as there is a web app as well, right? So you can simply sign on the web as well. We were amongst the top 15 women startup programs at the Goldman Sachs Women Startup Program at IIM Bangalore NSR sale. We were selected out of 1,700 applicants, and through this 5 year journey, just give me a minute. Through this 5 year journey, we have had mentored 20,000 students, right, across 25,000 plus one-to-one mentoring hours. We have conducted mock interviews, resume reviews, group discussions, and all of these is done by mentors. And these mentors are all industry experts who have been there, done that, right? Who have around 10 to 15 years or more of average work experience in the industry, post MBA from tier 1, tier 2 institutes, and who are experts in their domains, right? So a little bit about myself. So I am Ahmedabad alumni, graduated in 2006-8 from the PGP program. Then worked in across investment banking, consulting, research and publications. I have got around 10 case studies published at Harvard Business Publishing and University of Michigan, and all of these are used across the world in B schools to teach, MBA courses, and these are across analytics, marketing. Some are, there in the healthcare industry. Some are there in the movie industry. Some are there are across the manufacturing industry, right? So my case studies are across different industries and domains. Started GoCrackIt with the vision to help professionals to succeed in their careers. And with me is Alok, my co-founder, who is an IIM Bangalore alum. Alok also has around 16 to 17 years of experience across management, technology consulting, and product management. Again, amongst the two of us, we have mentored both around almost 2,000 students across different domains and industries, right? And we have a entire team with us. who are leading our technology, operations, customer success. So thanks to the team, we have been able to do this mentoring of 20,000 plus students. We typically work with institutes and individuals. Amongst institutes, we have worked with almost all the IIMs, ISBs, SPJMRs, XLRI, and then we've also worked with different other great institutes, starting with Goa Institute of Management, Delhi Technology Universities MBA program. We have worked with LBSI, MICFI, CARE. So we have worked across different institutes students. Great. So little bit about what we are doing right now. So for MBA students who have just joined their programs, we are going to start modules from 1st of August to help them prepare for their summer internships, final placements, so that they are ready for the careers which they want to target, right? So one, they can come and explore the careers. Secondly, they can prepare for these careers by understanding what really happens in these careers and by actually practicing. So, for example, this weekend we have quiz on consulting. Right now, consulting is something where the selection process is through case interviews. How do you prepare and practice for a case interview? You can do that through our app, the web app, which is Govin by GoCrackIt. Next weekend, we have quizzes on finance. Post that, we have quizzes on product management. And we also have a lot of quizzes which we have already done on the platform. You can play these quizzes. You do well, you will get certificates with your rank as well. The reason that I'm mentioning is especially for freshers, right? Or people who do not have any experience. You struggle to get your resume points. Right now, if you get a resume point which says that you were fifth amongst 100 people in a national competition on the Govin platform, right? That does create a good resume point, right? Remember, quantification is what I talked about here. I will talk about in the further 10 or so minutes as well. And then we next weekend we also have a workshop on interview best practices. The next weekend on GD best practices, and all the recordings of these workshops you will get on our YouTube channel. Great. So let's jump into the resume best practices session. Today we are going to learn about how recruiters look at your resume, and then how do you write your content, right? So that there is a match between what recruiters are looking at and what you are showing to them. And then we will look at different sections of a resume, be it academics, work experience, your positions of responsibilities, extracurriculars, hobbies, any domain specific knowledge that you have, right? Great. So what I'm going to do is, for the next minute or so, I'm going to show you two resumes. So this is the first resume, right? This is for a MBA student who has just entered the 2-year MBA program, right? You can just have a look at the resume, just go through it, right? Quickly. And then I'm going to show you another resume of the same person. Okay. This is the same person. This is his first version of the resume. And this is the second version of the resume, right? So, yeah, let me just take a quick pause here. Anyone wants to kind of talk about what differences did you find in both these versions of the resume? The first and the second version. Or you can just put it on the chat. Which version did you like better? If you were a recruiter, what would you prefer, version 1 or version 2? Okay, great. And any insights on why would you prefer version 2? What attracted you? Very good, pointed from the beginning. Great, this is awesome. So see what happens, right? A recruiter typically has just 10 seconds, right, to look at your resume, because for a given job, typically, hundreds or even in some cases, thousands of people apply for a given job, right? So they don't have much time to look at a resume, but it is your prerogative, right? It is your work to ensure that your resume stands out. So even if you have done great work in the past, even if you have had great academics, it may not stand out because you have not written the resume in the way that it is attractive for the recruiter, right? So this resume doesn't have any power achievements which the second one has at the top, right? Then this resume doesn't have any quantification, right? So for example, here it just says oversaw new vendors existing process. Vis-a-vis this says managed 100 plus new vendors. Right now, when you put numbers, it clearly indicates that you have had done some impact in the work that you have done. And the numbers do not come only in work experience, the numbers also come in your extracurricular activities. If you have managed a college festival, can you talk about how many people participated in that, right? Can you talk about the budget that you had for a festival, right? So it is not just that the impact can be shown only through work experience. Impact can be shown across any work that you have done in your past, and it could be, as a student, it could be as a professional, right? So that is where you need to work upon your resume to make it impactful. Now let's look at it from a recruiter perspective. So a recruiter, see, English language, how do you read English language, right? We are trained to read English language from top to bottom and left to right. Correct? That is how we are trained. That is how the human eye is trained to read. And that is how we read quickly as well, right? Google uses this science when it is showing all the search results or any design that it does, right? How does a human eye read? Because you need to connect with the human who is the recruiter at the back end, right? And hence, anything which is very important should come at the top, and it should, in a given line, it should come at the left. Okay. What we also call for this is top left quarter test. So you take your one page resume, tear it into half horizontally, the first half tear it vertically. The top left quarter which you have, that itself should be sufficient for the recruiter to call you for a shortlist or to call you for an interview, right? That top left corner. And hence, your name, contact details, if you are from a, let's say a good institute, the logo of the institute, all of that comes on the right at the top left, right? And your key things which you have done should also be seen at the top and in the left, right? So ensure that you write your resume such that you prioritize the best parts on the top and the inner structure, the most impactful thing in the left side, right, of your bullet point. So this is how a recruiter reads. Typically, they will read headings, and hence it is important to structure your resume properly, right? I mean, you just give them one, put words, and just only bullets. It's very difficult for a recruiter to read. Our job is to make the life of the recruiter easier, right? Hence, structure it with headings, subheadings, and also write your important things on the left, right? And what do they look at? Typically, they will look at your basic details. If you have any work experience, how much work experience across which all companies, right? Now, if you have had worked at great branded companies, right? Be it Ernst and Young, for my example, be it Amazon, be it Google, right? If you have worked at good brands, highlight those, right? Those should be very easy for the recruiter to find. Just don't hide it away somewhere. Okay. Whatever are your last job details, if you have work experience, they will look at that. They will look at your education. Again, if you have studied from a good school, if you have got great scores, it does make a difference, right? Spikes. Now, what are spikes? Spikes are key things which you have done in your past experience, which will help you differentiate from others. And spikes could be of two or three types. It could be in academics. For example, if you were a topper of your college, course, school, whatever it is, that's an academic spike. The spike could be for your work experience. If you have got a fast track promotion, if you have got a lot of awards, if you have got client appreciation, these are your work experience spikes. Spikes could be in extracurriculars. If you are the national gold medalist for swimming or international gold medalist for any of this, sports or any other activities, that's your extracurricular spike. So any of these activities, if you have done really well, please highlight them, put them at the top, right? I mean, that should be showcased to the recruiter. Now, why does spikes matter? Spikes matter because one, it helps you to stand out from others, right? It's a differentiator for you. Secondly, spikes show that you have the capability, the potential to put in that required hard work, sincerity, and tenacity for the recruiter. And hence, the recruiter is saying that, okay, this person will add value to my company, right? That is where spikes are very important. So, what are the recruiters looking at? As I said, two things. One, do they have the competence for the job? So if you already have the work experience, let's say that you're applying for a product management role and you have already worked as a product manager earlier, then that competence is already seen in the resume, and hence you will get a better chance to get shortlisted. If as a student you don't have any work experience, how do you prove this competency? You can do an internship, you can do a live project, you can do a self-initiated project, right? Hence, showcasing the competencies for the job that you are applying is very important. And you may or may not have it as a part of your work experience, but you can still build it using internships, live projects, or even live projects, academic projects, or even self initiated projects. Secondly, what they also look for is talent or potential. So, typically, when they go to hire from campuses, right, they're looking at a bunch of people who are bright and who have a lot of potential to do well in their companies, right? So this talent or potential, you can show it through your spikes, right? So that is what your resume should be structured, so that it shows either of these two or even both of these two to the recruiters, right? Even after doing all this, right, creating a great resume and all of that, there could be reasons why a resume may not get shortlisted. What is the recruiter looking at? They're looking at stuff I totally rocked at, right? Which is your typically your spikes, right? So hence highlight those. Do not hide them away anywhere in your resume. Apart from that, there could be other reasons which is out of your control, which is not in your hands, right? If there is no fitment at all, right? Given that they need IT skills, they don't have any of those, and they are looking at very specific skills, right? And not just aptitude to gain those. They have an immediate requirement. Then it will not make the cut, right? So don't get disheartened, right? If your resume is not getting shortlisted for some types of roles, some companies at some point of time, right? Because it could be because of absence of fitment. Second, resume is all over the place, right? I mean, the recruiter is not able to read the resume properly. That's something controllable. We should be able to work on that, and we should tailor the resume as per the job description which we have at hand. Resume is generic and hence it is not able to stand out. Again, let us bring our spikes back. Difficult to read if you haven't like subsection and all of that. It becomes difficult. Very technical. Now this becomes a problem when you have work experience, right? You tend to write that you have used Java, Jira for doing this and all that, right? It is okay to write the technologies which you have worked upon, but think through on what was the business impact of using those technologies, right? Lastly, some of the claims were unbelievable. Never ever write on the resume anything which is false, right? Because see, recruiters have been doing this, and they are doing this day in day out. They can easily figure out, right? I mean, if you put something false on your resume, never ever get into this, because this won't help you, right, in the short, medium, or long term, right? Great. So let's look at how do you structure your resume points. So typically what we advise is to write each of your resume bullet in situation, action, result structure, right? What we call it is SAR, SAR. And it could be situation, action, result. It could be result, action, situation. It could be action, result, situation. That can depend, that can vary as per what JD you're targeting, as per what you want to showcase, and all of that. But all these three elements, situation, action, result, should be there in each of your resume point, right? And we will look at examples, right? So what is situation? Tell the recruiter what is the context under which you took certain actions and created some business results, right? Now the situation helps the recruiter to understand, right? I mean, under what context you did some work. The action which you have taken helps recruiter to understand your competencies, right? Because if you say that I developed an analytical model for XYZ, it shows your competency to do so. And then the result, this analytical model enabled improvement in car sales by 20%, shows that this was really useful as a business result, right? And under what did you do this? Under a decrease in market share for an automobile company, right? So that's situation, action, result. And as I said, you can tweak this, right? I mean, if you're applying for an analytics role, you might want to put the analytics modeling part first. If you're applying to a sales and marketing role, you might want to put that the sales increase by 20% first. So depending upon where you're applying, you can tweak this entire format. But each bullet should have these three elements. So let's look at a few examples. Reduce cost by INR 3 crore. So this is a result. How did you do that? By through innovative contract packaging. And for what? What was the context? In purchase of INR 10 crore key telecom equipment at Ericsson. Right? So all these three elements are there. As a recruiter, I very well understand what this person has done. This person knows contract management, this person knows telecom industry, this person knows procurement, and this person knows how to save cost for a company. As a recruiter, now I'm impressed that this is a good value add for my company, right? Now, the same point, as I said, you can tweak it around and write it in 2-3 different ways, right? So in the first point, what we just saw, reduce cost by INR 300 crore. Second way of writing the same thing, if you want to focus on the telecom industry, let's say that you're applying for roles in Airtel, Jio, and all of that, right? Then you are focusing here more first on the telecom industry. Then you're talking about what result did you get, and then you are talking about how did you do it, right? The action part of it, right? So this is how you can prioritize your message in different ways. But you should have a resume ready with all your resume bullets written in this format: situation, action, result. Then you can tweak it for any given context, any given JD that you are applying to, right? Secondly, what we saw in the earlier resumes, right? Instead of just saying responsible for developing and managing vendors, you can say develop 30 new vendors for critical parts required for production of Maruti's first ever commercial vehicle. Now, when you are saying first ever, you are bringing in the complexities of the problem which you helped solve, right? Because if it's a routine thing, it's one thing, but if it's a something that you're doing for first time, you're facing a lot more challenges, right? Hence, it is very important to understand how do you write resume points, right? So we have spoken about the SAR structure. Second, which I mentioned, because the human eye reads left to right, all the important things you should highlight it on the left hand side of the point. Important things from the perspective of the JD or the role that you're applying to, right? What is important for you could be one thing, what is important for the recruiter could be another thing. And thirdly, tangible aspects, try to quantify as much as possible, right, on the resume. Great. So this we have already covered. Now let us look at one example where you have technical experience, right? Operated as an automation tester in Oracle Financial ERP of JAPAC region for international client Westpac, Australia, right? So this is one way of writing it where you're focusing first on telling that you operated as automation tester, right? Where you are highlighting more of your technical skills. If you're applying to technical roles, it is okay, no problem, right? You can still add some quantification. But if you're applying to business roles, let's say that you are, doing a MBA and then applying later on, right? Then bring in the business aspect and ask yourself, so what? So what if I did this automation testing in Oracle Financial ERP? How did it help my client? Right? So when you ask yourself, so what, you find out saved INR 10 crore by automating 30% of testing efforts in Oracle Financial ERP. And then as a sub bullet or a second bullet, you can say that you worked with an Australian client. See, when you write about different geographies or different types of people that you have worked with, it showcases that you can gel along with multicultural ways as well in the organization, which is very important for the organization. Now, for freshers or even for those who are pursuing MBA after experience, right? Academic projects. How do academic projects help? Let's say that you come from the IT services domain and you want to get into, let's say, a strategy role, right? Now, you haven't worked in strategy at all. You have been always a software developer and all of that, right? Now, when you do an academic project or a live project or a self-initiated project in the strategy role, right, which involves you formulating strategy, it helps you to signal your interest for that role, and it also showcases some amount of competencies that you at least know this, that you have studied this, right? So these projects and internships help you to bridge the gap which you have between what you have done in the past and what the recruiters require, right? So use this very efficiently and effectively in your resume, right? And as I said, the projects, the best is if you get WorkX, second best if you have internship, third if you get a live project, fourth academic project, and fifth could be self-initiated project, right? So everything is good and it helps signal your interest for the given domain. So, for example, it could be that developed an analytics model for forecasting inpatient food consumption at Apollo Hospital, or analyzed 1,000+ patients and food data points to design a forecasting model. Created profitability improvement strategy for Ultratech Cements, right? So these are all something which you can do as a self-initiated project as well, right? I mean, you don't need any company or somebody to give you work for that, right? So use these projects. Even if you have done projects in your undergraduation, still try to give a business context to it, right? So for example, you have done some project where you have tested the soil density, mineral level, and all of that. You can tweak that and say that, and let's say that you have developed some kind of a Excel model for the same, right? So you start by showing a tool that you have used Excel modeling for calculating so and so, or developed automation irrigation system to optimize usage and cost of water for agriculture, right? Same work that you have done, but bringing in the business economic aspect or bringing in some of your transferable skills, which will help the recruiter, right? Great. Then you could have extracurricular activities. You could have been part of a fashion show. You could have actually, run a sports, competition. All of that, put that on your resume. But bring in, if you were elected member, if you were a selected member, how many students did you represent? What was the footfall? What was the traffic? Right. So you can put in numbers for your extracurricular activities. Now, extracurricular activities are important because it shows different facets of yourself to the recruiter, right? It could be extracurriculars, hobbies, interests, depending upon which stage of your career you are in, right? Great. So we're at 10:40. Yeah, so these are some examples of a position of responsibility where somebody is, elected secretary, students dining hall, and basically a mess secretary. And in that, there are 6 different points, right? One is responsive. One is for leading the team. One is for drafting mess contract. One is for handling 1,000 different people. One is for different kinds of innovative things for lunch, first time ever, right? So any given activity, you can break it down to show your competencies for a given role, right? Hobbies and interests. Now again, just don't say singing, right? Singing as a hobby is okay, but what genre? If you can elaborate on that. that what genre of singing do you like, have you performed any shows, right? So give that little bit extra. Now what do hobbies and interests show? Again, it shows a different facet of your personality. Secondly, if the recruiter is also interested in the same hobby, it immediately becomes a talking point, right, for both of you, right? So that is where give those details in the resume as well, right? For freshers, how do you like build your resume? Typically, build upon your past internships, projects, clubs, PORs, competitions. Work ex people. Obviously, the work ex will come first, and then all your other things, right? You can bring those in, right? Uh, Typically, thumb rule for the industry is that if you have got less than 10 years of experience, your resume should be one pager. More than 10 to 20 years, it could be between one and a half to max 2 pages, right? Less than 10 years, only one page, right? Not more than that. Once you've done, so see, resume preparing, it takes a lot of time. You need to do a lot of iterations, get it reviewed by multiple people. Why should you get it reviewed? To understand whether what you have written is understood by the other person who's actually going to read it. Because we have things in our mind, we know what we are writing, but can the other person who doesn't know our background, can that person understand what we have written? That is very important to understand. And hence, do different iterations, get your resume reviewed by a lot of people, so that it is good to go for companies, right? So as I said, one pager, typically one resume point should have one bullet, one line, one idea. That is what we typically advise. Avoid first person, so don't write I did that and all of that, because it's a formal document, right, which you are giving for recruiters. So resume should always be written in the third person. Completed, achieved, right? Don't say I achieved and all of that. Always put whatever in the past tense in the past tense. Don't write it in present. Don't, on your resume, don't write responsibilities, highlights, achievements. That doesn't help as headers. As headers, you should write things which are your transferable skills, which the recruiter is going to appreciate. Because as I said, human eye will catch those headers first. If in the headers, if you just write responsibility, vis-a-vis write product management, right? For a product management role, then that will be more catchy, right, than just writing responsibilities. Lastly, do all the hygiene checks, right? Your resume should be factual, as I said, grammatically correct, no typos and all of that, right? Great. So, as I said, we do have a lot of things coming up to help you prepare for your consulting, finance, product roles. We have quizzes and workshops. You can find all this on your web platform as well. I've tried to kind of, wrap the presentation quickly so that I can answer the questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will take the questions from the chat as of now. Any questions on resumes? Let's tackle those first. Okay. You can put that on the chat or just unmute and ask the questions. Manisha, to respond to your observation comment, you have been working as an IT professional and you are going to pursue an executive MBA. Very good. If you're pursuing typically from the challenge with executive MBA is that, obviously, you have to run two treadmills where you're already working, and you also need to kind of focus on the studies and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And plus, additionally, typically the campuses don't provide
Hmm,
formal placements, right?
correct.
Because a lot of time the companies are actually sponsoring, right,
Yeah.
your course or something. So that's a challenge, right, where you need to kind of find out opportunities for yourself, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Advantage is that you don't need to wait for a specific placement session and all of that,
Hmm,
right? So that is an advantage. With work experience, and when you're doing the program, typically it will help you to build great networks
hmm,
amongst your peers, the faculty, which will help you further on.
hmm,
I have seen, so we have worked with IIM Bangalore and XLRI's, executive MBA programs.
Yes.
I have seen people who have transitioned after this program into good roles which they are aspiring for. So
Correct,
somebody
Suhruta.
similar
So
to consulting and all of that. Yeah.
yeah. So just to add on,
Yeah.
the thing why I felt like I should be joining this is because I checked like how this MBA thing should be there and what is the journey that I should be going on. Because currently I was into a software, I mean technology related role,
Correct.
and now I'm thinking like it's more of a business model or maybe the next higher roles. Although
Yes.
my designation already says like assistant manager, but I
Correct.
really want to walk on that particular path,
Correct.
and I'm going to do it from ISBR college from Bangalore itself.
Great.
And ISBR is already providing placements even for executive MBA professionals, like,
Awesome.
so
Awesome.
that's a plus point that I'm getting. Along with that, it is something like they're providing one semester, I mean sorry, one trimester to be there in the international program as well. So that's
Okay.
an addition thing which has been given. So
Right.
my question further was like, considering the second year of executive MBA, maybe I'm trying to do it in support and operations itself.
Okay.
How the next thing would be there, may it be right from resume building, the one which I saw in your session today, how
Right.
my resume should be there, depending on if I choose support and operations in my second year of executive MBA,
Right.
and what are the roles that I can take in further. Maybe you can
Right.
just elaborate on that as well. That would
Sure.
be
Sure.
helpful for me.
The support and operations. I mean, what does that include? Because I mean, I've heard operations and supply chain
It
management.
is more of again product management as well as project management, a bit of
Okay.
marketing as well.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Right. Yeah. So see, I mean, coming from technology background, you already have a lot of advantages, right?
Yeah.
Because technology is something which is disrupting across industries and all of that, right?
Mm.
So I mean, first you can do a kind of analysis in terms of what career options that you're looking out for, and
Mm.
don't restrict anything as of now, right?
Yeah.
Start with something, make a laundry list, right? You might say that you want to get into Google product management, right? Nothing
Mhm.
wrong in putting that on the bucket list, right? And then you can work downwards, right, in terms of how are you going to achieve that. Then you find out what are the constraints, right? That okay, Microsoft typically might want somebody from com science background and IT experience, and they don't hire other type of people, right? I mean, I don't know
Mm.
what your background is, but first make that bucket list, at least from a role perspective: product
Okay.
management, project management, technology
Mm.
consulting, IT roles in corporates, right? So make that entire bucket list first. Then find out what are the competencies required for those different roles. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then see what do you have right now, right? And
Mm.
what is it that you need to still build upon, right?
Right.
And then you can leverage these 2 years of your executive MBA to build upon those competencies which are
Correct.
lacking, right, in those
Mm.
roles,
Yeah,
right?
because what reviews I have heard is like the way 2 year full program MBA, the way students will get the exposure towards this program,
Correct.
and the way executive MBA is designed, they are like very slightly like very much different scenarios.
Correct.
So considering that also into picture, but only advantage thing that comes up is like I have worked on Salesforce technology, the current top CRM that is there. So
Correct.
there are multiple advantages that I have for myself. But along with
Correct.
that, when I add a bit of business administration to my resume also, so I believe that is where like I'm looking more for a career growth, and that is
Correct.
where this decision was like I should pursue
Correct.
executive one.
Good, good. No, good. I think an ISPR will provide a good platform. In
Yeah.
fact, 2 Saturdays ago, I don't know whether you were there in the inauguration program.
Hmm.
Two
No,
Saturdays.
I was not there because it was for the freshers actually.
Okay, okay.
So executive is going to start from next week, I believe.
Got it. Got it. So I was actually part of the,
That
inauguration.
is where I got your connect.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Great, great. We will connect. I mean, Manisha, I mean, please connect, and, we will help you kind of through this entire journey also, right?
sure. Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You can get, the contact details and all that. I can share it over here as well. Just write to me, and right, we will help you on that.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great. Akash, Akash, you had a question? Yeah, Akash. Okay.
Okay, if I may
Samita?
talk, Samantha. Yeah. Yeah, hi Suhruta.
Yeah.
Samantha, I just wanted to like ask a few questions regarding the resume building thing per se. Like,
Yeah.
how important is, let's say, career objective, which I see in a couple of resumes that they put career objective. So, what do you
Correct.
say about a career objective? Second thing,
So,
sometimes I've seen that just two, three things that I wanted to ask. One is career objective. Second is the declaration that I have seen a couple of times. Again,
hmm,
I sometimes feel that is it right or not right. Also, like the one you showed, it had tables. I
hmm,
mean, there I have heard a couple of people saying that separate your work or segregate your work using columns, semicolons. Do not
hmm,
use tables. Some people say that use tables. Tables are way better to read. They provide clarity of reading. So
correct.
I do not get the right thing, or I am not able to decide the right thing for
Correct.
particularly the table thing. Yes.
Correct. Great. So let me answer your questions one by one. First, on the career objective. Typically, we don't, believe that you should write the career objective, especially if you are applying from the campus. Okay. So if you're already, into some course as of now, your resume could get sent across multiple companies, multiple roles, and all of that, right? So hence, one career objective, which fits all, anyways, doesn't make sense, right? That you say that I want to grow in the role, or provide my whatever value and all of that. Anyways, it doesn't make sense because all the 300 students will have the same career objective, right? So hence, on the campus, definitely you don't need that, career objective on your resume. When you have work experience and when you're actually applying to very specific, roles,
Right.
at that time again, if a career summary, right, would be better than a career objective, right? Because a career summary will very crisply connote what your experience is and what will add value to the organization, right? Vis-a-vis career
Right.
objectives, wishful thinking that I have, correct?
Right.
Which still doesn't help, right? Vis-a-vis, if I
Absolutely.
tell what I have achieved very shortly, which will help the organization, then that is useful for the organization. So I don't, personally believe in writing a career objective. It
Okay.
should be there when you write a cover letter, right? Which is now very customized, right?
I actually wanted to ask about the second thing I wanted to just say about is cover letter only. That
Right.
again, I do not see much importance of a cover letter again. So the same thing I want to ask you, that how do you evaluate it or how do you rate it?
Yeah, so let's respond to cover letter right away. See, when you apply with a resume, right, to a given company or to a person, a cover letter, I don't want you to write a full-fledged, letter with all of that. But if you can highlight what you can offer to the organization, how you are going to solve their problem, right? What are the key things which are going to help them in that cover letter in a very short way? It is very helpful because that will provoke them to open your resume, right? Because your
I,
resume will go as an attachment, right? While the email is still visible, even if they open on the phone or just the system,
so
right? So
do
it,
you suggest that writing the cover letter as the part of the email is fair?
yeah,
Cover
yeah, you
letter
should.
as the email, as the body of the email is fair?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because if you're sending a resume to someone through email, you need to write something, right? Just don't say, please find attach my resume, right?
Absolutely.
Then that, okay, they will get 100 such mails, right? You need to actually craft a great subject line. You need to craft a great, cover letter. It need not be very long, just short,
Right.
crisp, which will provoke them to open your resume and give you a call, right? That is what
Right. Right.
your cover letter should do, right? Uh, yeah, your second question was on declaration. Again, I don't think that is required. I think some formats have been used for years and hence it is there. So even I don't think you should have, declaration, or you don't even need to share any personal information. I've seen a lot of resumes which, talk about, married, not married, children, this, that,
Absolutely.
address and everything. Address you can probably mention, probably the top line, just for a sake of communication, but now even that is redundant, right? Because technology has enabled working from anywhere, right? So, I mean, if they are interested, they will reach out, right? If you are okay for relocation and all of that, right? So, your email, phone number, LinkedIn, those three things are sufficient, right? So, all those things, it just kind of adds, onto the document. That is all. Doesn't help you, but anyways, right?
Okay. Okay.
What was your third question? Uh,
The tabular format or using separators, colons, semicolons, what do you feel is better?
So now, let me talk a little bit about resume formats. So nowadays, you see a lot of very fancy formats, right? Where you can put graphs, where you have, those skill maps and all of that. Okay.
Right, right.
So while those look good, however, if you're applying to large companies where a large number of people are applying, typically it goes through an ATS. So ATS is a automatic tracking software, right?
Mhm.
Which has a model, right? Has a software which reads the resume, right? Now,
Okay.
typically, this software can't read pictures, tables, and all of that. It can just read text,
Okay.
okay? And hence, it is advisable to write your resume in simple text, and the subsections could be just a text in bold, right?
Right, right.
Uh, so that
So
is where
photograph again is not suggestible. That's what you're saying?
not, not
Photograph again is not suggestible.
not required. Photographs or even any kind of graphs and all that, right? In
Right.
fact, in US and in some European countries, they disallow photographs, right? Because they don't want to bias recruiters against, any color,
Looks.
gender,
Right.
that, right? And hence, they won't accept resumes with a photograph or, any specifics, right? Because they don't want to be biased, because I think the rules, court rules don't allow that, right?
All right.
India is still not there, but I mean, anyways, I mean, your work, your competencies should speak, right? So, hence, in terms of ATS, it is best to write it in text format. The resume which I showed you just now, these typically are used at campuses, right? Which use, specific softwares for preparing the resumes. Now, when companies come to campuses, they have different filter criteria. They don't run these through ATS, the resumes. Okay. They typically do filtering on Excel sheets, right? Because if there is a batch of 500, 300, they will simply see, okay, educational qualification, what courses, IITs, NITs, right? Work experience, no work experience. So they will do that kind of filtering, right? Because the first, the objective of the resume is to get to that interview call, right? That is what should be achieved. Then second part is when you go to the interview with the resume, that is your question paper for the interviewer. The interviewer doesn't know anything about you apart from what you have mentioned on the resume, right?
Exactly.
And then
Hmm.
whatever you write on the resume, you should know that inside out 360 degrees, right? Follow up questions, and all of that. That is what. Now, when the recruiter is reading it in front of you, it should be easy for the recruiter to read. And that is where the tabular formats, right? Where you say tabular formats or even subsections, which just makes the person to easy to read, right? That helps.
No,
So,
the idea is, let's say subsections. I understand. I absolutely buy subsections, but then the idea is, let's say my academic qualification.
yeah,
Should it be separated by some separators, colons, semicolons, or should it be written in a tabular format? What do you like
yeah.
more? Or as a recruiter, if I ask you, what do you like more?
Typically, education we do put it in a tabular format
Okay.
because it's just makes it easier to read, and
All right.
the framework is similar, right? Institute name, course name,
Yeah.
your marks, scores, or if you've got any achievement, right? So it makes it easier for the recruiter to read, right? And especially if you have been a great, I mean, if you've got good acats, then it also showcases that, right, consistently, right?
Right.
On
Right.
the other hand, if you have bad accounts, I mean, you can obviously do away with the scores and all that if you still have good, brand names on the colleges and all that. So tabular,
Right.
it's easy to read from an academic credential perspective,
All
and it
right.
also focuses, right, till like if you've done CFA or masters or anything, it's kind of easier to
Okay.
read that very quickly.
True.
Yeah,
Thanks for answering. Thank you.
yeah, great. Welcome. Akash, are you still there? Okay. Alan, you can ask your question.
Ma'am, now I'm pursuing MBA in HR and marketing.
Okay.
I pursued my BCom degree in finance and taxation, and I have worked for 1 year in operations field, logistics field. So I'm looking forward for a job on marketing and finance, mixed managing post like that. So what should I do with in my
Right.
and yeah, what should I highlight in my resume?
Sure. So you're looking for roles in marketing or marketing and finance, both.
Both my I have BCom finance degree, but I more like you like the human psychology, and so I choose my HR
Right.
in my MBA specialization. So
Got it.
what should I do more? I like looking on a marketing post like that. So what should I more like a manager post like that. So what should I highlight in my resume?
Got it.
I have
Got it.
work experience in operations. That's why.
Right. Very interesting. Great. So once Alan, first thing that you need to do is you create your master resume. So what is a master resume? It is a repository of all the work experience, projects, live projects, education, extracurriculars, co-curriculars, everything that you have done. Put it as a master resume in a well-structured manner, right? Where all your bullet points in that are in the situation, action, result format, quantified, and everything, right? Second thing, from this master resume, try to create two variants. Okay, one for marketing, one for finance. Okay, now put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter. If you are looking for a marketing person, what all points would you appreciate from this person who has marketing, who wants to get into marketing, right? So let's say that while you were doing operations work in your work experience, you have worked, let's say, for example, with a marketing agency, or you have worked with customers at any point of time. That is useful from a marketing perspective, because as a marketeer, I want somebody who understands customer behavior. So that is something which you can use for marketing as well. You need to tweak that point, but right, in terms of how you have dealt with the customer and all of that, right? If you have done any projects during your BCom which are specific to marketing, you can put that right on your resume for marketing. If you haven't done anything, what you can do is now start taking, one, you can start with some online courses or certifications for marketing. Start participating in competitions. So now a lot of competitions have opened up, and even if you're working, they still allow you to participate, right? A lot of colleges, organizations have different competitions. Participate in those competitions. So for example, I think this weekend we do have a marketing quiz, right? So start participating and build those to your resume, right? Even if you participate, add that to the resume, because it shows your interest in marketing. That is part one, courses and participation in competitions, right? Part two, try to get some projects in marketing. And where do you get projects? You can go to Unstop, which was earlier called as Dare to Compete. You can go to Internshala. You can also go to places which offers part-time gigs, right? It could be, something like flexible. It could be, there are a lot of platforms online, right, which offer small projects, right? You can do those projects which are actually live projects, and then you can put those also on the resume, right? So courses, competitions, certifications, and some kind of projects related to marketing will help you build your resume for marketing. Okay, and similarly you do for finance as well, right? Does that
Okay,
help,
ma'am. Okay.
Alan?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have done I have done project in BCom in marketing, and I also have done that in I'm academy. So I just
Yeah.
now I'm doing a work in customer relationship manager. So
Awesome.
like that. In a project, and now I'm pursuing my I'm pursuing my by August I have will be an exam. So I am doing that. So I look to forward on that project and do my own.
Yeah, yeah. So if you have worked in customer relationships management, nothing like that. Okay.
Okay.
Explore that in great detail. How does that platform work? What insights do you gain from the customers? How do you, reach out to customers using that platform and all of that, right? And all of these could be one separate resume point on your resume, right? Which will make it attractive for the recruiters.
So should I put 2 pages or 1 page? That's enough.
One page, one page. Do you do how much experience you have? 1 year, right?
Say 1 year only.
1 year. I mean, as I said, less than 10 years, only one page resume.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Samita, do you have any additional question? Because I think your hand is
That's
still
all.
raised.
No, that's it. That was his earlier. I haven't raised my hand now. That is all. I thank you for answering all my questions.
Great, great, sure. Fine. Anyone else? Any other questions? Anything that you would like to ask? Okay, great. So if everybody is, if all questions are answered, do play our quizzes on the platform today. Just search for Go Win by GoCrackIt. And next Saturday again, we have a session on interview preparation. So you can join for that. And let's all get prepared towards great successful careers. Thank you so much for being here today. See you next Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.